The night was icy, and the snow lay over the forest like a silent shroud. The wind howled between the trees, restless and cold. In a small mountain cabin, Eric sat by the fire, a cup of coffee in his hands. He had lived here for many years, far from the noise of cities. He loved the silence, but tonight there was something different in the air, something foreign. Outside, the wind roared louder than usual, as if whispering words Eric couldn't understand. Then, a faint, almost imperceptible sound, a knock at the door. Eric frowned. No one ever came here. The nearest settlement was miles away. He set his cup down, grabbed his hunting knife from the table, and slowly rose to his feet. The knock came again, softer this time, almost desperate. His heart raced. Someone was hurt. Taking a deep breath, he slid the bolt open and pulled the door wide. A figure collapsed into his arms. Eric staggered, but managed to catch her. Her body was icy, her breath weak. Snow clung to her torn clothes, and in the firelight, her skin had a faint silver hue, almost metallic. Her hair, white as frozen light, clung to her face in tangled strands. And then he saw it, the pointed ears, the features too perfect, too alien. She wasn't human. From her trembling, cold lips came a faint whisper in an unfamiliar language. Then her eyes opened, glowing a bright, almost luminous blue. For a moment, their gazes locked, and Eric saw in her eyes exhaustion, fear, and something else, urgency. Then she passed out. His grip tightened around her. Whoever she was, wherever she came from, if he left her here, she wouldn't survive the night. Setting aside his doubts, he lifted her into his arms and carried her inside. In the cabin, he carefully laid her on a blanket by the fireplace, peeled away the wet rags, trying to be tactful, and wrapped her in whatever could keep her warm. Her body still trembled. Her breath remained shallow. Eric clenched his teeth. He had to act fast. He threw more wood into the fire to make it blaze brighter, then filled a metal flask with hot water and placed it in her hands. No reaction. Her forehead furrowed. If she didn't come too soon, he carefully checked her pulse. It was there, but faint. Suddenly, her fingers twitched, and then her eyes opened again. Now they glowed with an intensity that was almost frightening. She tried to sit up, but groaned and clutched her side. Beneath the fabric was a deep wound, from a blade or something worse. Eric reached for the bandages in his first aid kit. "Easy," he said softly. "You're safe. I'll help you." She looked at him warily, but then something in her gaze shifted. Her lips parted, trembling, before a single word escaped. Cold. Eric's shoulders tensed. She was speaking his language, but before he could process it, something unexpected happened. Her hand, cold as frozen metal, suddenly gripped his wrist, a weak but desperate hold. She pulled his hand closer, pressing it to her chest as if trying to absorb his warmth. Eric's breath caught. This was beyond anything he'd ever known. But if he didn't do something, she would die. Without hesitation, he draped another blanket over her, moved closer, and let her lean against him. Her trembling body relaxed almost instantly in the warmth of his embrace. Outside, the storm raged, but here, in the small mountain cabin, Eric had just begun something that went far beyond a simple chance encounter, and he didn't yet know it. In the shadows of the trees, just a few hundred meters away, cold red eyes glimmered in the darkness. Someone had tracked her, and they were already on their way.